Today we're taking a look at some sample problems from section 13.4 on the costs and advantages of home ownership, and we're working from the textbook on page 722. And our first problem where directions are given as find the monthly payment needed to amortize principal and interest for each fixed rate mortgage. You can use either the regular monthly payment formula or table 6, and both of those are found on page 716. In this case we have a loan of $95,450, so that's our principal. The rate is 15.5%, which we represent as a decimal point 155, and that's our little r. Our time is 5 years, and that's our little t if we're using the formula. Now, if you look at the table at the bottom of page 716, what you'll notice is that, no, it's not 716, I'm sorry, 714, that the rates only go up to 12%, so we cannot use it to calculate this problem. So our only choice is to use the formula we find at the top of that page. So just a couple of comments in terms of what I like to do when I'm working these on a calculator. You have to kind of put in parentheses where you need it. And actually we don't need a parentheses here, so I'm going to eliminate that one. What we want to do is take principal times it, and anytime I see a fraction I put parens around that fraction if it's just a simple fraction. If it has a lot of terms in it, a lot of multipliers in it, then I close it in parentheses. So you'll notice what I did. I'm putting parens around the numerator and around the denominator on the calculator, and that's saying simplify this and simplify the numerator, simplify the denominator, and then divide the numerator by the denominator. So you may find that helps you as you work on these. Also, and I'm going to copy this over one more time so that anytime I can simplify something in my head, that saves me some calculator strokes. Okay, and this of course on the key is divided by 1 minus 12 over, this is 12 plus 0.155, so I'm going to just make that 12.155, and that is raised to the 12 times 5. I don't want to get the decimal confused there. So I forgot my paren there, and then I need to close that off. So you can see I've added in a few sets of parentheses to try to help me. Now let's go to the calculator and see if we can do it, hopefully without making an error. Alright, so I have my calculator here. I'm going to start with the parentheses, and I then want 95,450, that's my principal, times, and I have a fraction, so I'm going to enclose this in parentheses, and that's 0.155 divided by, whoops, I got one extra 5 in there, let me go back. Alright, divided by 12. Okay, and I want to close off the numerator. Now I'm going to divide, and then another set of parentheses for the denominator, 1 minus, and again I have a fraction. This is 12 divided by 12.155, and I want to raise that to the 60th power, and then close off the denominator. Let's hope that works. Okay, so that's correct. We have a house payment, a regular monthly payment of $2,295, and we'd round that up to 88 cents. Notice in this section you almost you have to have a calculator, even if it's a very simple scientific calculator. Okay, so we found the answer to number 6. So you have the option of using the table if your interest rate is in that table, or if not, or really you can do them all by the method we used here in number 6. Okay, let's move on to our next problem. And in this problem we'll do number 10. This is it says complete the first 1 or 2 months as required of each amortization schedule for a fixed rate mortgage. Okay, so it's interesting when you buy a house and you make your early payments, almost all of the money goes to the interest. It really doesn't buy down the principal until after several years. You're finally seeing it go down at a fairly decent rate. Okay, so we have a mortgage of $87,000. The interest rate is 8.5%, and the term of the loan is 20 years. Okay, and so it looks like we have to figure out the payment, and then we have to figure out how much of that payment goes to interest, how much goes to the principal, and then the new principal at the end of that first payment. So it looks like we need to go, let's see, we have 8.5%. Okay, and the term of the mortgage is 20 years, so we can use the table if we want. Alright, so that's the table value for 8.5% for 20 years is 8.67823. Show you how to use this. And that's per thousand, so we have 87,000, so we need to multiply that by 87. And find my calculator here. Alright, so I'm multiplying 87. I'm not going to do that on the shared calculator. Hopefully you can do this without any problem. 7823. So I'm getting a house payment of $755.01. So that's how you would do it with the table. You can see it's a little bit easier. So part A, total payment, we just calculated $755.01. Alright, the next part is the interest payment. So what we have to do is take our 87,000 principal times our interest rate times our time, which is 1/12 of a year. So I'm going to take my 87,000, and again I'm not going to do this on the shared calculator since times 0.085, since this is times 1 divided by 12. And I'm getting 616.25. So that's the amount of interest, and this is going to be principal paid when I subtract those two, and you'll see what I meant earlier when I said most of your payment goes to the interest. $616 of that $755 is going to interest, and you're only paying off $138.76 in the principal, so not a whole lot. Okay, the balance of the principal. So now what we do is we take our 87,000 minus this 138.76, So 87,000, whoops, clear. 87,000 minus 138.76 gives us 86,861.24. So we still owe quite a bit on that particular mortgage. So this is part B, this is part C, and this is part D. Okay, and if you were going to do a second payment, the payment would remain the same. You're going to calculate the interest now. Instead of on 8,700, you would be calculating it on that. With the interest, subtract that from the balance, and that'll give you the principal paid. And so then you subtract that amount from the balance of the principal to get your new balance of the principal. So you just continue that process if you want a table. All right. All right. In number 18, let's do one more. I think maybe I can squeeze more in during this time. It says finding a monthly mortgage payment, find the total monthly payment including taxes and insurance. So in 18 we have 72,000. This is the amount of our mortgage, $890, and 5.5%, and 15 years. Taxes are $1,850. And insurance is $545. Okay, so first of all, we need to come up with the monthly payment, and we're going to do that the same way we did in the last two. We can either use the formula or we can use the table. Let's see if we can use the table in this case. So again, I'm back on page 714. I have 5.5% and 15 years. So my figure is 8.17083. And how many thousand do we have? 72.89. So we put our decimal where the comma is in the thousands. So 8.17083 times 72.89. Okay, so our monthly payment is $595.57. Now, let's separate this off. Let's find the total for the taxes and the insurance. Plus $545. For the year, we're paying $2,395. So I needed to divide that amount by 12. And I'm getting $199.58. So that's how much I have to pay a month. So that brings our house payment, including the taxes and the insurance, up to $795.15. So you can see how quickly the amount goes up when you add in taxes and insurance. So yeah, the base mortgage payment is not that bad, but it is considerably more when you add in the taxes and insurance. Okay, I'll continue with 4 more examples on the next recording.